Yeah, it's October 23rd. Just feeling kind of weird, feeling kind of down and all over the place. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I was just saying that as a biker was approaching me. So, that's kind of weird. He probably thinks I'm all over the place. But, yeah, it's cool. I started recording this video, and then I looked over here and I saw the beauty of the sun hitting these trees. Not these trees, but like these trees. A lot of different colors on the trees today. Feeling a little pale myself. I'm 25 now. And I do know how I feel about that. I feel kind of weird and all over the place. Like, I recently made this song, and like one of the lines is, "Get up and out it, I'm needing my thinking space. Thesis is season, shit seems like a marathon. 26 creeping on me, it's a miracle." And yeah, just tripped on a little stick. And yeah, it's like, sometimes that's just really how it does feel. Especially just talking to this black mirror, like the show, but yeah, talking to this black mirror, that's my phone. Just has a little hole essentially on the front of it. You can pretty much just talk to yourself, which is what I'm doing. And there's some birds. It's hard to know what the right thing to do is. Sometimes it's just like, come out here and just aimlessly just walk and stumble, trip over these different obstacles. And I'm not just talking about the rocks in the forest, if you know what I mean. And it's nice that all the trees over there are being hit by the sun. I think that the color changing on the trees means that they're dying, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of like how, we see beauty in death to a certain extent, at least the beauty in change, but death also brings beauty. But I'm also not a tree, and that's not what I mean by that either. But you see the trees, they change color, they get hit by the sun, all these leaves fall off of them, and I'm just here playing my big little part. These leaves start off really big, and it's not just me. It's not just anybody. It's not anything in particular, but start off big, and the more and more you're exposed to really anything, the more you deteriorate. Like these leaves are gonna deteriorate, go straight into the ground and be used as more nourishment for the soil and make the trees that they came from stronger, which is kind of weird. But it's just it repeats like the seasons, like every day of the year. It repeats. Every day is a day. And lately it seems like every year is just every year that you're just trying to get through. But getting through is just not living for me. Right now I'm on a balance beam. Another trip. And now as I walk further into these glowing trees, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's just. And by that I mean it's just what is what is. The past can affect the future, but that doesn't even matter. It's all just a case of mistaken understanding sometimes. Understanding of what processes actually are gonna benefit, which ones are perpetually being repeated, and what motion you continue with. But in the right light, it's really a cumulative thing that gets us anywhere, that gets us to be anything. Like the sun. It's all a cumulative event of me swaying my head and my phone. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't see the sun. But who am I to block it out? Especially when the trees need it to continue to be glowed upon, continue to grow, continue to fail, continue to die, fall, only to be rebuilt stronger, say some. Only to be used as a spot for animals to chill, you know, for some of this. And, you know, fallen logs that are just around, it's a reminder of, you know, if you don't let yourself continue to grow from your failures and, you know, fall down and get back, then it's really like you just end up a pile of sticks. We all know what that means. And like this stick over here, it's like, it would make a great walking stick for somebody who is like 30 feet tall or something like that, because it's really straight and stuff, but their hand would have to be really big. But yeah, that tree, for example, it's like, what is that thing? In the same way, it's just like, it doesn't have any branches, it's very obscure, it's just there, it's still standing, but it's disformed for the lack of, you know, what we conventionally think of succeeding. But I'd say like that tree over there succeeds because it still is standing, and yeah, it might be messed up and have no limbs on it, it's not growing anything, but it's still alive. And with no branches with the leaves, it's honestly just a survivor. Because I believe a big part of what the leaves do and the role they play on the tree is to continue to get you to grow and, you know, outstretch your branches, get you to keep spreading out, keep on, you know, having more influence over your environment. But you see some that are succeeding without having those different branching off sectors and different ways of conventionally succeeding, which is great to see that in nature if you want to make that comparison to it. But then as I say that, I also walk like that song, I walk this lonely path, the only path that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's a path and it's filled with fallen leaves. And there's the sun again. Who am I to block it? Myself. Yeah, so I guess I'm just feeling pretty tree-like and connected with the nature. One has to think, though, you come across something like this. You see this tree? Yeah, it's really tall. But things reach heights sometimes that maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they're not capable of reaching that height and having that be sustainable. You know, because this tree, it's so massive, it's so large. I'd probably climb it if I wanted to, which I kind of want to. But yeah, it's like based off of what foundation it was made of. And sometimes it's just like you rot out from the bottom or from the inside. And it's not all the places you've been. It's not how much you've grown and how you've gotten to be in the place you are now. It's not the ultimate height, but you build and build upon a foundation that's already out of whack and screwed up, and it's gonna be results like that sometimes that you feel like you failed because you've fallen. But going back to that tree, it was still standing, it was just sideways. And besides that, it had its other trees around it to be its benefactor and be the one holding it up. While at other times you walk through here and you see, another example of just like a stick. It's just like a stick, and it's easy to just see a lot of comparisons, like people come in all different forms, all different challenges, all different environments. And it's about having, a co-inhabitable space somewhere that you can succeed where you're planted. Because every environment's not going to work for everybody, and everything you try isn't going to work. Not you directly, but to keep on trying and trying and trying. It's the payoff is there. The payoff's there at the end. It's the more you think about the payoff being related to the pain of getting there, the tougher it becomes to want to grow and want to be honest, to want to be. And the sun's still shining. Block shine. Block shine. And I am actually just like living in the golden glowing trees right now. But do I feel any different from when I had seen them from across the pond? Yeah, I feel different about them. I feel like you see something, and I'm seeing it again, and it's so close, and I've seen it from so far away before. But being inside of something and being part of it, it's fantastic, and I do love the sunlight on my skin and these colors coming in and everything like that, and it feels like I really made it. Yeah, I made it to, the sunny side of the pond where the light is upon me and in the spotlight, so to speak. But it just doesn't have its same luster, doesn't have its same quality. It's same shock factor. It's same, oh wow, I want to go there. I want to do that. I want to be in the color. I want to be color. I want to live amongst it, do it. A lot of different comparisons that you can make out here to, what you're thinking, what you're going through. And it don't have to be, anything. Don't have to be anything that's like even makes sense. You get to a certain point, there's no dollar amount you can put on cents. Right? And I have been here just 25 years, 10 months, 4 days. And it's a lot of years, a lot of months, a lot of days. Not a lot of days really, but that just goes to show. I mean, you're born and you begin your experience not knowing what one day is and what that has to offer, and you get to day 2 and oh wow, it's double. It's doing everything you've already done, but it's double, and it's double because you're familiar with it. You still don't really know what you're doing, but you know that you want more of it. You know there's more to find, there's more to be. And that's just the first 2 days of being alive I'm talking about, like when you're first born. Gets a lot from there. And like when I was just saying that is meaning like I'm walking here, I'm walking a little path. And over there it's like we have the water. We have the pond and the body of water. The water in the body. And it's like pretty much a symbiotic experience, I feel like, going into a depths of water like that. Like, no one's ever meant to be here and on land and amongst all these things, all these beautiful things. Yeah, we got the color of trees, we have everything changing, we have a land of opportunity right in front of us, right at the brink. But that also comes from the progress that is made from failure. I'm walking on so many fallen leaves right now. So many different colors. Some are green, yellow, orange, brown, red. As you can see above me too. And over here to the side. But you get to being around it too much and seeing. So yes, there's a green leaf on the ground. What does that mean? Success that never knew the failure before it fell? Or is it just sometimes stuff happens and we get mixed up in a place that we don't belong, and the weekend to get fallen and get prepared for helping regrow and regroup and come back stronger, but not as themselves, but as something that they're a bigger part of. But the green ones, you know, they weren't really ready or, you know, expected to fall like they did. But something like a gust of wind, something hitting it in the wrong direction, an outside force, such as myself, just coming through and, you know, positive influence on myself, maybe walking through here, getting fresh oxygen, have a little chat. But I might walk by and hit a leaf and have its early fall. But does that even do anything for it? You know, it's, some people will have an early fall and they spring right back. Haha. But not after the winter. But I feel like I'm in the hot spot right now, which is pretty awesome. Feel like I'm just being shined upon. But yeah, some good stuff to keep in mind. You keep walking on this. You keep on walking amongst what things are growing and living and thriving, just to be brought down a level, to build back up stronger. And you also walk by things that have been far and along knocked down. That's a lot of sun in my eyes. I had a pair of sunglasses I got the other weekend, and I spent like a few hours staring up into the sky thinking that I was staring through the sunglasses, but I was really just looking right below them because they were super narrow and didn't block my full view of vision. Which is it's a good thing at times to, like, you know, have that that false sense of protection, like you're seeing the world through a different scope, you're seeing it through a different lens when you're really not, because that's really all life and perspective is seeing it a different way and having different ways of seeing things be symbiotic and matching up with each other, and, you know, going there. And it's like, doesn't even have to be between two different people, it can be between yourself and yourself. It's not a not such a steadfast creature habit type thing where it's like oatmeal, eggs, and blueberries. It's one day or you, because I'm not talking, no. So yeah, one day it's like, you know, you feel like thriving. You feel like diving into the water deep, because that's where the fish are, and that's where it's opportune, and get a refresh and live your life. Keep it going. Keep. And that's what the water is really good for too. It's just separating yourself from, you know, the noise and just what we get caught up in. I wish I could stay underwater for, you know, at least a minute. I mean, I can. You know, I can probably stay under there for 2 minutes if I wanted to, you know. But with lifeguards and stuff at the pool, it's like not really cool, and it's not really cool to, you know, do FaceTime and do face down in the bathtub for 2 minutes at your home. It's kind of like strange to think about, but maybe maybe a nice cup of water. Maybe just drink a cup of water up your nose. But either way, there's something that is definitely to be said about the water itself, and having that be good for just kind of clearing you of what you think is like really the whole experience we have here. Like, not that gravity's a bad thing, that whole type of thing, but excuse me, which I wouldn't normally say, but I just I'm sorry to pause. No, just kidding. But no, it's like sometimes you don't know what or who you are until you make a mistake like that, and like stop breathing for a second, or you hold your breath for a minute and you find out how uncomfortable it is. And it's like certain people thrive in that discomfort, or at least they say that they do, and they say that it's like, I don't know what they really say, but I would think that it's like, the challenge and having the feeling of what it's like to not be so like capable, to not be so like up and at it, like just not breathing, like really takes away you. But yeah, some people thrive off of not being themselves and the separation, but at times the separation is just like kind of the means to an end. It's like, how can I get through another day experiencing being walking on leaves in the forest, talking to myself? It's like, how do you get through it? And sometimes it's having that extra boosted catalyst from doing something difficult, like holding your breath, going to the gym. I love to go to a steam room myself, crank that up to like 124, because at 125 it shuts off, but just try to crank that, keep it as high as I can, and stand up, because sitting down in a room like that, hot air rises, you sit down and you're not really experiencing it all for what it could be and what it is for you, and like what it could push you to be, at least if you get through it. A lot of people sit down, which I understand, maybe they want to sit down, and I'm just not one of those types of people that want to sit down and want to be like that, there's something to be said about taking the easy route in something that's difficult. There's something for showing up but not being prepared. There's been times where I go there, I feel horrible before I try to make myself feel better by feeling even worse. It's the bounce back sometimes. But I'll go there and I'll feel horrible and think, I'm going to walk into this 120 degrees. I'm going to drink my water and it's going to make me feel good. And it's like 3 minutes later, I'm like hunched over, hand on my head, like just ready to, not necessarily give up, like continue to fight, but you just feel like what you did does not prepare you for like what challenge you put yourself up against. But I think that's important sometimes, just as long as it's not all the time. Like sometimes it's just, good to show up for a battle and just show up, to say that you did it, because progress is like a very fickle thing. They say, who does? I don't know. But progress is, you build upon it each day, 1%. 1% times 365. But what if you are standing there trying to get to 1% and you hunch over and you're on your, bending over, hands on your knees, whatever, needing that breath, you can't hold it, you can't continue the challenge. Does that count as 0.5%? Does that count as, something that's a net negative for what you're trying to accomplish? Or is it just, hey, you don't do your best that, that you could see yourself accomplishing, but is it just the showing up and being there that makes the difference? And I'd say it's both. It's being there and just persevering, even if you are failing. You do 3 minutes the one day, you get out and you lie on the floor and you breathe till you feel like your breath is back and you get back in there. It's certainly just a net gain that builds upon itself, but hey, like, without that building, you end up like one of these, like, very small plant, very small tree. And it's like, does it have potential? Yeah, I'd say every living thing has potential, and it has, it has merit. But in the eyes of the beholder, it's what and when and what accidents, what mistakes, what is it and why? What is it that is going to even make you want to continue to nurture yourself? It's like being blocked from the sunlight or having rocks around your foundation, building off horribly. It's not setting you up. But like, what do you want? And why do you want to grow to be bigger? Why do you want to use your fallen leaves to develop branches and get yourself out there to expose yourself and get even more sunlight? And it's the why. Like, that little tree over there, if it's working just for itself and that's its main thing is just itself, then I don't see it getting very far at all. But having a relationship with all these other things that are surrounding it, whether the small tree takes from the big ones at first and that's the form of growing, you'd have to ask the big tree. And I'd say it's more about finding trees that work with each other. A big tree that wants to give to a small tree but just is like incapable of being connected or like rooted in with that. It's just without the underlying root system, it's really hard to communicate at like the surface level and be able to get all that across. And I feel like it could potentially be negative as well. It's oversaturated by all that surrounds you. Might be overwhelming, might be too much for a young sapling. And without the what and why of becoming bigger and being able to, grow off of others, without that, then it's just really just another little bush in the forest. And that's all I got. I have to use the restroom. And right now it looks like that is the forest. My room of rest. My room of reprise. Room of reflection. The restroom. But yeah. I could see myself a lot in some of these things I walk by, and it's really, again, a whole matter of perspective and what you put it into. I've walked these woods hundreds of times at this point, and maybe that seems like an over-exaggeration, but at least 100. At least 100. At times, just walking with a blank. And just trying to avoid thought of trying to not be me. Because sometimes being me is scary. And I don't mean me specifically, necessarily. At least I don't see myself in that light. I feel like anybody can be afraid of themselves, and we all see those sides of us. Without the proper balance, it can get totally warped and totally thrown into, again, like being perceived, but also not just other people, but yourself. It's like, how do you perceive yourself? As net gaining or net retreating? Do you see yourself as a network where everything else is built around you, such as if you're a main character in this whole thing? Because that's really how everybody should feel. They should feel like they're the reason for themselves, because it's just like that's all you have is just yourself and your thoughts and what's up, what's down. I can still tell with my eyes closed, but if I asked you what's up, what's down, I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're on monkey bars, hanging by your ankles. I don't know if you're doing a plank. I don't know. What? Doing a handstand? Which way is up for you? But yeah, as I'm walking back this way, I'm seeing a golden line above on the trees again. So I think I know that's just the sun. The sun hitting that spot again. So that's pretty nifty. Not knowing what you have till it's gone, what gives you life and what takes it away. The sun will rise. You know, that's what they again with the they comments, but some may say that the sun rises. You know, one thing's for sure, the sun's gonna rise every day. And there's never been a day in my life that the sun hasn't risen. But there's been days that, there's life and there's certain things, positive aspects shining on you. But it's like, what's your environment? What's the condition? Do I have a mind that's clouded? Is the physical spot I'm in clouded? Like, do I feel electric? Like, what does it actually all matter? When it rises. And how in what way can we use it rising to not the idealist of conditions or whatever, the expected circumstances, the clear sunny day. What do we do when it's not that and it's cold and it's dark and it's time for wanting to give up? Well, you have the hope that the next day and the next experience, the next opportunity is gonna make up for what is lost, and how we've been feeling this whole time. Or is it that in other conditions, it might be different. It's cloudy, it's stormy in my condition. A little boat. It's stormy. It's shocking. But elsewhere it might be nice, I don't mind a few clouds in the sky. Not at all. In fact, sometimes, they pass in front of the sun and you see it as, just what happens. And, how does that shape you? What does the sun cast on you when the conditions are in and out? Especially in different places. Like, you go to a different place, you're expecting different conditions and different ways of thinking about things. But hey, if it's just partly cloudy and you got a couple things going on, that's all right. And in a crazy sort of way of thinking about it, it's nice to cloud watch, if you know what I mean. It's something to learn from, definitely. But if it's a haze and it's a huge cloud over the day, it's kind of just like an overwhelm of whoosh. It's an overwhelm of just condition. The condition's just overwhelmed without having those different spots and places to break up and allow you to see it different, allow you to be yourself. Then do you want to just keep on continuing to be like just what the environment set you to be in? Like, do you just want to be grown and manipulated by what's there, or do you want to just like, do you want to build, you know? Do you want to see things differently and be able to say, hey, I was, contemplating, saw a sheep in the sky. Not that bad.